"She's here," my granddaughter whispered at my daughter's funeral. "Mommy says, look at her tummy." I lifted the sheet and saw the horrifying truth. I'm Martha Wilson, and this past spring I celebrated my 65th birthday. I've called Maple Grove, a little Ohio town, home for over 4 decades. My dear husband, George, died a decade back, and since then my daughter Jennifer and my granddaughter Emily have given my life meaning. Jennifer was 27 years old at the time. She was employed as a teacher at the elementary school nearby. Her radiant smile always brought joy, lighting up everyone who knew her. Emily is 5 years old. She has big blue eyes, exactly like Jennifer, and she's got a naturally inquisitive nature. Just a month ago, Jennifer started feeling unwell. Initially, we thought it was just a common cold. Sadly, each day her symptoms got worse. She lost her appetite and suffered from intense pain in her stomach, along with a fever for no apparent reason. Neither the small clinic in town nor the big hospital could diagnose her condition. And this past Thursday, my precious daughter took her last breath. It all happened so fast, so tragically young. The medical professionals say it was a rapid illness with no known source, but a big question continues to linger inside me. Why did this happen so quickly? Why did this happen to my wonderful daughter? As I make arrangements for the funeral, my heart is breaking with pain, yet I must remain strong for Emily. She needs me now more than ever. St. Mary's Church, that's where Jennifer was baptized, attended Sunday school, and got married. Today, it's become the location of her final send-off. The church is adorned with white flowers, and a photo showing Jennifer's smiling face is placed in front of the altar. As people dressed in black clothes quietly settle into their seats, I held Emily's tiny hand tightly. It's still hard for her to grasp the reality that her mom isn't returning. "Grandma, when is Mommy going to wake up?" Emily asks me softly. I just don't know what to say, so I just hold her close. Pastor Brown begins the memorial with a serious tone. He talks about how Jennifer lived, how much she loved, and how she touched so many people. I could hear people crying all around me. As the memorial service goes on, Emily suddenly leans forward. Her gaze seems distant. "Grandma," Emily murmurs, "Mommy's here." I turn to look at my granddaughter, surprised. "Emily, what did you say?" "Mommy's over there," Emily gestures toward the front. "Mommy's talking to me." My heart started racing. Emily has always been a little unusual. She would occasionally claim to see things that other people couldn't. But could this actually be true? "Mommy's saying," Emily continues, "to look at her tummy." I gasped. Jennifer's tummy, what could be there? "Emily, what does Mommy say about her tummy?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Mommy looks sad," Emily replies, "but she's trying to tell us something important." Suddenly, the pastor's voice interrupted, pulling me back to where we were. But Emily's words were still in my head. Jennifer's tummy, what could it mean? When the funeral finished and everyone started going home, I was stuck on Emily's words. "Mommy says to look at her tummy." Those words just kept echoing in my thoughts. "Mrs. Wilson, are you okay?" "What?" Jim Foster, the funeral director, spoke to me in a gentle voice. I've known him for 3 decades. He's overseen the final farewells of many folks in town. "Jim, I have a favor to ask," I stated with a determined tone. Could you allow me to see Jennifer one last time?" Jim seemed a little taken aback initially, but then quickly demonstrated empathy. "Certainly. However, are you sure you're ready? It could be an emotionally challenging thing to witness." I gave a nod. "I am." For Emily's sake and for Jennifer's. Guided by Jim, we went into a tranquil room. Jennifer's body was there, covered by a white sheet. As Jim cautiously took the cloth away, Jennifer's face became visible. She had a serene look as if she was just resting. "Jim, could you reveal her stomach area too?" I asked, my voice unsteady. Jim said nothing and followed my request, revealing Jennifer's abdomen. Right then, something strange caught my attention. On the right side of her abdomen was a substantial bruise, unlike anything I'd ever seen. Spots of a purplish-black color stretched out in an unusual pattern. I couldn't find the right words. "Mrs. Wilson, this." Jim also seemed perplexed, struggling to speak. "Honestly, I've never seen a bruise like this before." My mind was racing with questions. What is this bruise? How long has it been there? Why didn't anyone notice it? And most significantly, is this related to Jennifer's passing? "Jim, could you take a photo of this?" I said, forcing myself to be composed. Jim paused for a moment, but then, observing how serious I was, silently agreed. As he meticulously snapped pictures with his phone, I was holding Jennifer's cold hand. "I feel terrible, Jennifer. I really need to know the actual facts. For your sake and for Emily." Before I left, I gave Jennifer's cheek a light kiss for a final farewell. "May you finally find peace. Mom is going to get to the bottom of this." I began to go through Jennifer's things a few days following the funeral. Each time I step into her room, I feel a crushing weight on my chest. It's like her presence is still very much here. As I was putting clothes and keepsakes into boxes, I found a little box stashed away behind the bookshelf. Inside it was Jennifer's diary when I opened it. My private secrets was written on the cover. I wasn't sure if I should open it, but I decided I had to learn what happened. Upon opening the first page, a reality I couldn't have pictured revealed itself. He hit me again today, but I can't tell anyone. I have to endure for Emily's sake. My stomach still hurts from being kicked, but I can't go to the hospital. I'm afraid of being questioned. I feel like he's putting something in my food, but I have no proof. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. My heart was filled with both pain and fury with every line I read. Jennifer had been suffering at the hands of her husband, Robert, for years, and she couldn't reach out for support. After finishing the diary, I got in touch with Sarah, Jennifer's closest friend. She might know something, Aunt Martha. Sarah paused on the phone before she started speaking. Actually, Jennifer had told me things. I was sworn to secrecy by her, you see. Sarah's account matched the diary entries perfectly. Robert's aggression, emotional manipulation, and lately, some odd things with the meals. Jennifer had mentioned the food tasting off, she told Sarah while crying, but Robert was right there, so I didn't dare ask for any clarification. When I heard that, a light bulb went on in my head. That strange mark on her, the time she was sick without reason, and the change in the food, everything seemed to scream one awful answer. I said to Sarah, taking a huge breath, I appreciate you. You mustn't feel bad about not being able to assist Jennifer. The time has come to uncover everything. After I ended the phone call, I went to Emily's room, feeling resolute. She was sitting on the floor, playing with all her toys. I called out gently, Emily, sweetie. Grandma needs to do something really important for Mommy. Can you lend a hand? Emily looked up at me with huge eyes and quietly agreed. Yes, Grandma, she said, if it's for Mommy. That very second, I was fighting hard to hold back the tears. Jennifer's pain, Emily's naive, innocent look, and the horrible reality that had to be exposed. It was a huge weight on my heart, and there's no going back now. This is the only way, and I'm going to do it. To safeguard my daughter and her future, I chose to pursue the truth. I had Jennifer's diary and her friend's statement with me, so I decided to talk to the local police. At first, the detective didn't seem so sure about it all, but when I showed him all the evidence, he started to listen intently. Mrs. Wilson, this is a grave charge, and I understood how serious it was. We have to do a complete probe, the detective, Mr. Johnson, said, his forehead creased with worry. But can we rely on your assistance? I instantly said yes. From that point forward, I was constantly working alongside the authorities, collecting whatever information I could find. Jennifer's medical history, everyday things of hers, even samples of her hair were all scrutinized. Emily spent more time at our house, staying with her grandmother's, while Robert stayed by himself at his house. He seemed to just focus on work after losing his wife. About a week into the investigation, I got a phone call from Detective Johnson. Mrs. Wilson, we found something significant, he told me, and his voice was strained. Traces of a certain substance were found in Jennifer's hair. Hearing those words, I felt completely drained. Arsenic. Poison. My precious daughter had been deliberately poisoned over time. This is just, I choked out. Yes, it indicates she was given poison over a period of time, Detective Johnson continued softly. In addition, we have a report about arsenic compounds missing from the chemical storage facility at Robert Wilson's job. Robert's job was at a chemical company. He could easily get his hands on poisons. Why? I questioned, tears threatening to spill over. Why would he do this? We don't know the full reason yet, Detective Johnson responded, carefully considering his words. But we found a large life insurance policy taken out on Jennifer with Robert Wilson named as the beneficiary. That's when something inside me just shattered. To murder his own wife, Emily's mom, so heartlessly for financial gain. Robert is, I stammered, my voice trembling. The Detective Johnson responded that he was presently being questioned. We intend to apply for an arrest order once we possess sufficient proof. After I ended the phone call, I remained motionless for a considerable amount of time. I was overwhelmed by despair, fury, and remorse. If only I had been more observant, might I have prevented Jennifer's death. These kinds of ideas consumed me. Nonetheless, there is still a lot of work to get through. For Emily's benefit, and for the sake of justice for Jennifer, I need to confront this reality. As the police investigation continued, I found myself considering Emily's strange gift more and more. The day of the funeral, when Emily claimed she saw Jennifer, and the words about focusing on her belly, maybe it wasn't just a young girl's fantasy. One day, I quietly spoke to my granddaughter, Emily. Could you please share more about Mommy with me? Emily raised her large eyes to look at me, paused for a moment, and then started talking. Mommy comes sometimes during the night, she explained softly. She appears to be sorrowful, but she's trying to communicate something significant to us. What sorts of things? I asked, barely breathing. About Mommy's ring, Emily went on, the sparkling ring. But she says it isn't there now. I instinctively leaned closer. Jennifer's wedding band. Yes, she hadn't been wearing it when she died. Emily, did Mommy say where the ring is? Emily contemplated for a bit. Under the enormous tree in the yard, I believe. The instant those words reached my ears, my pulse quickened. Jennifer's place has a large oak tree situated in the backyard. Was it possible? That very evening, I got in touch with Detective Johnson. I shared what Emily had said and sought authorization to search the garden. Truthfully, trusting a kid's words is tough. Detective Johnson paused, but ultimately said yes. The following day, with the police watching, we started digging at the oak tree's roots. From the soil, a little box came into view. Upon opening the box, we found Jennifer's wedding ring nestled inside. Plus, there was a note which was quite a shock. It was penned in Robert's handwriting. The perfect crime, no one will realize. At that point, we'd acquired solid proof. After finding the wedding ring and the note, thanks to Emily's strange gift, I began to focus even more on what Emily told me. Before I went to sleep each night, I made sure to dedicate some time to speak privately with Emily. "Emily, did Mommy say anything today?" I would ask in a soft voice. Emily responded with a solemn look. "Mommy said to look inside the big vase in the kitchen." I felt a sharp intake of breath. That vase had been a wedding present for Jennifer. The next morning, with police oversight, we inspected the vase. Concealed at the base was a tiny plastic bag. It held a white powder. Later tests confirmed that the powder was an arsenic mixture. At a different time, Emily mentioned this. "Mommy says there's a secret in Daddy's computer." Based on this information, the police did a thorough examination of Robert's computer. In that search history, they discovered information connected to the impact of toxins and how to administer them. Every one of Emily's statements provided a crucial piece of the puzzle. Because I had faith in her talent and was proceeding with care, the truth was coming into view. At times, Emily's comments wouldn't immediately reveal any solid evidence. There were also childish fantasies mixed in, such as "my mother was up in the air" or "she was having a conversation with the stars." But I kept listening intently, hoping not to miss the little bits of truth hidden within. What Emily could do wasn't just a kid's made-up stories. It was a distinctive link with her mom, who had passed away. By trusting in it and treating it with respect, we continued making progress in our quest for fairness. Using the information we got with Emily's help, the police then started a more in-depth examination. A dedicated group of investigators was created, led by Detective Johnson. "Mrs. Wilson, I appreciate you sharing such vital details," said Detective Johnson with a grave look. "We'll do a more thorough investigation using this information." The police began scrutinizing Jennifer's medical records from the hospital she'd been attending. During that process, the picture of the bruise on her stomach became really important. Dr. Smith, a toxicologist from the area hospital, offered to help with the investigation. He noted that the specific shape and color of the bruise are classic signs of long-term arsenic poisoning. Plus, another fact about the disease. My examination of Jennifer's hair samples unmistakably displayed arsenic buildup over the last few months. This wasn't an accident, it was done on purpose. The only explanation is that it was planned, Dr. Smith confirmed. The police then broadened their investigation to the chemical company where Robert was employed. They carefully examined the inventory of chemicals and access logs working with the company. Because of this, it turned out that Robert had been going into the chemical storage area where arsenic was kept more than usual. Taking all of this into consideration, it seemed that Robert Wilson intentionally poisoned Jennifer, Detective Johnson said in the preliminary report. Each time I learned something new about the investigation, I felt a mix of sorrow and fury. At the same time, there was a feeling of comfort knowing that we were getting closer to uncovering the truth. "Jennifer," I thought to myself, "it's almost over. The truth about what happened to you will soon be revealed." Once enough proof was assembled, the police finally moved to arrest Robert Wilson. When I watched him being arrested outside his home on the news as he was leaving for work, I felt a rush of conflicting emotions. Immediately after the arrest, Robert initially claimed he wasn't guilty. Yet, after enduring the police's relentless questioning and facing a mountain of proof, he began to lose his composure. When the court case began, the entire community was incredibly upset. News organizations descended upon our town, eager to report on the terrible event. The prosecution displayed all the proof, documentation of long-term arsenic poisoning, accounts of Robert's strange conduct, and crucially the written message each piece highlighted in turn. The defense team tried to discredit the validity of the evidence, but their claims were refuted by specialized witness statements. At the most crucial moment of the trial, Robert finally confessed his guilt. He admitted that he was deeply in debt and had hoped to change his financial situation quickly, using Jennifer's life insurance as the means. The judge decided that Robert would spend the rest of his life behind bars for the crime of first-degree murder. As the verdict was read, a wave of hushed discussion spread through the room. Even though I had mixed emotions, I felt that finally my daughter's spirit could find some peace. Emily and I experienced a huge shift in our lives after the trial concluded and the true details became clear. Numerous individuals offered us their empathy and practical help. The local church, in particular, provided invaluable support. Every Sunday after the service, people would come to us, bringing food or offering to assist with Emily. "Martha, we appreciate your bravery," Mary, the head of the ladies' group, said. "Because of what you did, our community is now a better place to live." At Emily's school, School 2, the educators and other parents were extraordinarily understanding. The school therapist has check-ins with Emily on a regular basis, assisting with her emotional recovery. This whole situation, however, has made everyone in town focus on the problems of violence at home and mistreatment. The local community center has started offering associated workshops and help sessions. "We've gained so much knowledge from what Mrs. Wilson and little Emily went through," the mayor told everyone during a press conference. "Going forward, we're going to collaborate as a community to make sure something like this never happens again." Emily's starting to seem happy again little by little. She talks less about seeing her mom, but sometimes she looks up at the sky and smiles. "I personally have found a new purpose now that I'm coping with my sorrow. I've begun volunteering with a support group for domestic violence survivors, hoping to use what I've gone through to aid others who are hurting. Jennifer isn't with us anymore. Still, she's still with us here in this town. What happened to her has changed many people's lives and helped move us toward a better future. It's been a year now since it all happened. Emily's begun elementary school and is slowly adapting to her new existence. Our relationship has also become even stronger through this tough time. Every year on the day Jennifer died, Emily and I go to visit her. We leave flowers and quietly talk to her. Jennifer, your bravery continues to live on in everyone. We've created a fund in Jennifer's honor. The Jennifer Memorial Fund is working to assist victims of domestic violence and teach children about preventing abuse. Emily is also taking part in things, but in her own style. She established a group at school focused on kindness, teaching her pals why being kind is important. "Grandma, do you think Mommy is seeing what we're up to?" Emily inquired once. I responded softly, "Yes, I definitely believe she is. I'm certain she's extremely proud." This whole experience, which commenced with a tragic happening, has turned into a symbol of optimism. Jennifer's memory carries on because of all the things we do, bringing light into numerous people's lives. Going forward, I intend to keep spreading love and kindness alongside Emily. That's what would mean the most to Jennifer, I believe.